Welcome back to our Robert Delaunay style painting project. In the last sessions we looked at the idea of modern art and what modern art is and how that came about, and then we started to draw out a modern art Robert Delaunay style composition. Next, we looked at watercolor painting and we looked at the skill of watercolor glazing, creating all the different kinds of watercolor colors and then letting them dry and painting a wet glaze over the top of it to change the color. In today's lesson, we are going to look at starting with the lightest colors. All right. First, we're going to erase our pencil. Then we're going to start painting with our yellows, oranges, and reds, and we're going to use repetition of that color, and we're going to evenly balance that color throughout the composition. We're looking to create unity and looking to create balance from that unity. All right. Later, we'll do some glazing to create contrast and emphasis. So the skills I'm looking for is being able to mix the paint in your mixing pan, being able to paint with wet on wet watercolors, and then of course at the end of the project going on to glazing. So to get started, this is what our picture looked like last time when we left off, and I would like you to start by taking an eraser and gently erasing your pencil lines. Now you want to erase them hard enough that you can't see the lines, but gently enough that if you look really closely you can still use them as a guide for your painting. Alright, we don't want to have done all of that hard work drawing your lines in and all that thoughtful composition making and just completely do away with it. We want it there, but we want it there behind the scenes so that it doesn't stand out once we start painting. All right. Once you get done erasing, you're going to need the following supplies. You'll have 1 cup that is full of clean water, 1 cup that is empty to dump your dirty water in, and 1 cup of your personal water so that you can keep your brush clean and not get the water of your neighbors dirty. You'll also need 1 paint palette, depending on what that looks like in which school I'm teaching. Now, you might have a variety of brushes. For most people, I'm going to kind of say a medium-sized round tip brush will be best. Some of you might want to try a flat tip brush, as this is an older or a lesson for older kids. I'm going to give you that choice. But some of you who struggle with detail might want to use yet a smaller brush so you can be a little more careful and keep the paint inside of the shapes that you've already predetermined. Now, today you're going to focus only on painting yellows, oranges, and reds. Why? Because those are our weakest colors. Now, as we do the glazing in later sessions, that the darker colors, when you glaze those on top, they're going to overpower your weaker colors. So we're just going to be starting with our yellows and our reds and our oranges. So I'm going to start with cool yellow, and I'm just going to paint it in this first circle. Now as you paint, make sure you've got good brush control, make sure you're being thoughtful and staying inside your lines, and also make sure that you're going back to that idea of balance. You're going to like evenly place all of your paint throughout your picture, making some choices in the sense of where you want them to be and how big you want them to be. Do you want yellow to be lesser part of your picture? Do you want it to be more part of your picture? And I'm going to encourage everyone to have lots of yellow in their picture. Why? Because as we move forward and we start overlapping different colors, the yellow will quickly fall into the background because you'll see that it's overpowered greatly by all the other colors. So try to have lots of yellow at this stage, lots of different areas of yellow, so that you have more opportunities for glazing and painting over in the future. Now, I've started only with my cool yellow at this moment. Now I'm moving on to my warm yellow. You'll notice that it's a little bit more towards the orange spectrum of yellow, and I haven't really even added any red into it yet. As you start painting here, make sure that you again make that thoughtful decision of where you're painting your yellows, whether you've got your cool yellow and your warm yellow, whether they're coming together, whether you want them farther apart, and all of that's going to come into your artistic choice. Now here it looks like I just made a little mistake there in the sense that my wet watercolors kind of started running into a different shape I didn't want it in. So you can always make sure that you have some paper towels on the sidelines, like I've got my blotting paper towel up here, so that you can blot out any dribbles of water or mispaints as you go through. Okay, Now, once you get that yellow all the way finished, you're going to want to move on to painting in some of your reds. At this point, I'm going to use my reds and I'm going to mix them into my yellows to make some of my orange colors. Keep your brush clean. As you can see, I just washed out my brush, which is very important so that you can keep the colors that you're mixing clean, neat, and accurate in the sense of what you want them to be like. All right. Now, as you move through the different stages, I highly suggest that you let each area dry before you do the next area so that you don't have water running together. You'll see right here that as I start this red and the yellow next to each other, some of the color is going to run together. And you want to be really careful about that. It's very difficult to be accurate with watercolors if both colors, as they are laid down on the paper, are both wet. Then they're going to run into each other and make kind of a wet on wet soft edge. Now you can see I switched my brush so I could be a little bit more accurate because this is a smaller shape, and I just kind of continue working throughout this picture. Now if I just jump forward, here's a little bit more red, a little bit more red in that section, and you can see how I'm just evenly placing my red. First I started with my cool reds here, cool red, cool red, cool red, and now I've started in with a warm red, warm red, warm red. And I'm actually mixing these over in my mixing pan so that they're not really pure colors, but they're more mixed oranges. And you'll see by the end of this process, I've got all my yellows, all my reds, all my oranges nicely and evenly placed throughout my picture. Paying attention to balance, paying attention to all the colors being next to each other. At the end, make sure you wash all of your supplies up at the end of the session so that you are having a good clean area and clean supplies. So the end goals of our painting today is to fill in the yellows, fill in the oranges and reds, trying to focus on balance and unity and looking at the mixing in your pan, using wet on wet color and glazing. So thank you for joining me today for the first painting day of our Robert Delaunay Orphism project.